Oh, howdy all. Grab yourselves a beer. It is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today, I wanted to cover a couple of tips for filling out your atlas. So this is going to assume that you're already reasonably familiar with the watchstone mechanics. If you need a refresher on that, I've got an extensive video guide that I will link at the end of this video. But one of the things that tends to happen as you're starting to work through your 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th sets of watchstones is that you'll find that you're missing a number of maps, and they're quite hard to get them to drop. You'll notice that I'm missing Arachnid Nest here. Now, in normal gameplay, the only way that Arachnid Nest can drop while I'm running maps is if I am running one of the maps that is connected to it. So if I'm running a siege map, tier 14 siege, and a tier 14 map is rolled, then it has a reasonable chance to be Arachnid Nest, but it could also be something else. If I'm running a core map, I could get it, and if I'm running an excavation map, I can get it. That's one way of doing it. However, there's a better way. At the start of the league, what you're wanting to do is use Zana's missions to get as many different maps completed as you can. Every time that you run one of Zana's missions, so you initiate a mission from your hideout, so you either go and talk to Zana, or you go to your map device and put a map in and activate Zana that way. It doesn't matter what tier of the map that you're running is, you will reset Zana's store. What Zana's store will have in it depends upon this figure here, your bonus objectives. The higher this is, the higher the maximum tier that she's allowed to sell you. However, the hardest maps to fill in on your atlas tend to be the lowest tiers, so it's really quite useful early on as well. What I suggest you do is early on, and also for that matter, continue doing this until you have basically filled out almost everything on your atlas. Every time you get a Zana mission, go and check everything that she's selling. If you've got advanced mod descriptions on and you hold Alt while you're doing this on PC, you'll be able to see the additional information, so the Atlas map objective, bonus objective, and awakening objective information. And as you can see here, she's selling a bunch of maps that I've done already, but those are still there that I could still buy another copy of them if I wanted to. What you should do early on is, as I say, buy everything you haven't done every day. And this is the primary way you want to be spending your chance orbs and your alchemy orbs. It'll be chance orbs for tiers 1 through 6 and alchemy orbs for tiers 7 through 11, I believe. You want to be spending all your chance orbs that you get while you're leveling and all the alchemy orbs that you've got that you aren't using on augmenting maps, doing this to expand your map pool early. That will get you a smattering of maps, but you will still have many, many, many holes in your atlas. And as you can see, just looking at Turn's End, I've been running a lot more maps than that, and I'm still missing Wharf. The thing just doesn't want to drop for me. Likewise in Lex Proxima, I'm missing Arid Lake. It still hasn't wanted to drop for me. In Lyra Athane, I'm missing Canyon, and I'm missing self-events. So let's talk now about how to fill in those gaps later on. You can just wait for Zana to offer them. Sometimes she will offer them in her store, sometimes she will offer them as a daily mission, and actually Zana's daily missions are how I tend to fill in most of the unique maps. Not Perandus Manor, that's not available that way. But things like the Twilight Temple, you generally get these from Zana before you actually find the map drop anywhere in game. Alternately, there's a couple of divination cards for some of these too. But the key tricks you're going to want to use. Firstly, we're going to look at the case of burial chambers here. You'll notice that I forgot to corrupt my burial chambers. And as a result, this map, I have done it, but I haven't done the bonus objective on it. And you can also use this when you're coming back to do the awakening bonuses on all of them as well. Here, we're going to use the favored map system. And I can only do this because I've actually completed every map in Haywark Hamlet on at least the normal version. So I'm just going to select burial chambers there. And now, anytime, wherever I am on the atlas that I have a tier 15 drop, it's now 10 times as likely to be burial chambers as any other individual tier 15 map. Now, there's nothing more to do really than just to run a bunch of tier 15s, and eventually one will drop that's burial chambers. Knowing my luck, I'll corrupt it and it'll turn into a Vaal Temple or something. But keep doing it and eventually you will get there. That's the easy case, however. The harder case is when you're missing a map entirely, and that means that you can't use that region's preferred map system. And for an example here, I want to look at Lex Eoris, and you'll notice that I am missing the Arachnid Nest map. Now, this is a tier 14 map, but it may be available as a lower tier as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to check this by looking at the map stash tab. Now, having a look at the tier 14 maps, you'll see that there is no space for Arachnid Nest here. What that means is there is actually a lower tier version of the Arachnid Nest, and whilst Arachnid Nest will appear here if you get a tier 14 version, it's not the base version. So let's check if there's a tier 13 version. Oh, no there's not. Tier 12? There we are. So what we've got here is a situation where we are looking for a tier 12 map. And what we're going to do is simply use Horizon Orbs on an undesired tier 12 map. So these Bleak Chambers Crystal Ore map, I have no real interest in running this. I'm past tier 12 maps at this point in progression. So I'm just going to smash it with Orbs of Horizons until it becomes an Arachnid Nest. Not what I wanted, I've already done it. Not what I wanted. Canyon, I actually need Canyon, so I'm going to keep that one aside, and I'm going to go and grab another Crystal Ore map. Because I don't want to roll over something else that I need. And at this point, we're going to go and roll it again, Canyon again, and there's our Arachnid Nest. So there's the two maps at tier 12. The only things that a Horizon Orb can transform a map into are maps that are at their natural lowest tier. So that means that there's a lot of different maps that can be tier 12, but it's only the ones that cannot be tiers 1 through 11, but can be tier 12, that you can hit with a Horizon Orb. That can be really useful as well with specific higher tier maps. It means that, for instance, Burial Chambers. Burial Chambers is a tier 15 map, and there's just not all that many tier 15 maps that are available. If you use Horizon Orbs, you'll quite quickly turn them into Burial Chambers. So that's the Horizon Orb method, and that's really powerful. And again, I want to demonstrate this once more. This time we had a map here. There's this port map. There was a tier 15 that I needed as well, and it was in New Vestia. It's Pit. So you'll see here that I'm looking for Pit map. Again, we're going to check. Firstly, I know that it's tier 15 at 4 Watchstones. Is that the lowest that it can be? And yes, it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Horizon Orbs on this port map, and we're going to turn it into a pit. A Promenade I've already done. Ashenwood I've already done. Lava Lake I've already done. And there's our pit map. So that didn't take very many Horizon Orbs. And this should be your primary use case for Horizon Orbs. Now, the very important caveat to this strategy. This does not work well at all with maps whose natural tier, i.e. the lowest that they can be on the Atlas, is tier 2, 3, 4, or 5. The reason for that is that there's just so many of those. Those are the tiers at which something like 90 maps between them have a natural tier of 2, 3, 4, or 5. For that reason, you're going to be more reliant upon Zana for those ones. That's fine though. Your trick will be just run all your Zana missions when you get them. Sometimes Zana will offer you a mission to go to a higher tier version of a map. So for instance, the 4 Watchstone version of the pit map is tier 15 as you saw there. But sometimes she might actually offer you a mission to go to a tier 16 version of a pit map. That will count, and that will count for the Awakening bonus as well. So, in summary, the ways that you want to fill out your Atlas holes for unique maps is going to be luck and Zana missions primarily. You can also use beast crafting. There's a beastcraft recipe to create a unique map that you've probably got the beast for, maybe to run it a couple of times by the time that you get to about 100 of 154 Atlas bonus. The second thing is to note what the natural tier of a map is. That is the lowest tier that it is available. For Pit it was 15, for Arachnid Nest it was 12, for Burial Chambers it's 15, and you can find that out by consulting your map stash tab. If you don't have a map stash tab, then the website PoEDB has this information on it. Alternately, what you can do is let's have a look at Valdo's Rest, for example. I'm just going to look for a map that I'm missing there because I know there is one. What you can do is stick in all 4 Watchstones into a region, and if that one will just pick up, and then have a look and see, what am I missing here? Oh, I'm missing Waterways. Okay. When does Waterways disappear? I'm going to remove 1 Watchstone. Oh, Waterways is gone. Okay. that means that Waterways is a natural 4 Watchstone map, and therefore a natural tier 14. You can do that with any other maps, with any other map region as well. So for instance, Phantasmagoria, that might be a natural tier 5, but let's just check that. Aha, it's still missing, so therefore it's a natural tier 2. The other tip that you can get is by looking at what the bonus objective is. And so for Phantasmagoria, you can see that it's kill boss of magic or higher version of this map. That will tell you that it is a tier 1 to 5 natural map. If we were to take another example, Desert Spring, you can see tier 6 version here on my atlas, but it says magic or higher, therefore it's going to be tier 1 to 5. So the natural tier of the map is important because that impacts whether you can easily Horizon Orb into it or not. If the natural tier is not 2, 3, 4, or 5, then you can quite quickly acquire that map by using Horizon Orbs. If the natural tier is 2, 3, 4, or 5, you're going to be dependent upon Zana's shop or upon a lucky drop. And sometimes it can take quite some time. I know that in the previous league, it was in the Delirium League, or maybe it was even in the Metamorph League, one of the leagues in the new system, I had a lot of trouble, or maybe it was Harvest. I had a lot of trouble getting the Cemetery map to drop because it was a natural tier 2, and as a result, I couldn't get it until eventually Zana gave it to me one day. So 2, 3, 4, and 5 natural maps are the troublesome ones, but for everything else, there's Horizon Orbs. That's your main use case for Horizon Orbs late in the game, and you should be saving them for that purpose. Likewise, Chance Orbs and Alchemy Orbs are going to be used early on in order to buy maps from Zana, and that is doubly important in solo self-found. Anyways, the last tip is just a reminder that you can use the favored map system once you've unlocked at least one of them, and to unlock at least one of them, you need to have the normal completion on everything in the region, and then you can target one by one maps that you want to get more drops of, in this case Burial Chambers, and now I have a strong bias towards Burial Chambers. Once I get another Burial Chambers, I can then remove that and then change my favored map to whatever I actually want to drop. So in this league, I think it's Cemetery is in this zone, and one of the new Divination cards, the one for 5 Exalted Orbs, apparently that drops in the Cemetery map, so I might give target farming that a shot to see how it feels, because I am sick to death of Burial Chambers as a map. But of course, Burial Chambers is a very popular one too. Anyway, that's it. A few tips for filling out your atlas. If you've got any comments or questions, fire away below. Otherwise, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a good one.